Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of the great millstone, Bashem Rakak Wadash. My name is Yakalba from Playing Tables Camp in Philly. This is, I guess, part 3. Edom speaking as a dragon. This is AARP. I believe AARP is United States-based interest group focusing on issues affecting those over the age of 50, according to the organization. So it's not a government organization. They have a 501c3 nonprofit tax status. All right. Under health, it says if your vampire shot it, boosted, and still caught the bug, here's what to do. All right. So if you take drugs, you can still catch bugs. All right. So that's how effective the drugs are that they're handing out. If you take drugs, you still get the bug. January 7th, 2022. All right. And start off with Revelation 13:11. And I beheld another beast come up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. All right. So you're gonna bring this image in here. The beast, and then America sits on the beast. All right. So you got the European powers, pretty much. This pretty much composes all of Europe. All right. Then the rest of Europe are pretty much just Germanic tribes that split apart. Like Australia, it's pretty much just the British that split apart. All right. So you're not gonna say the prophecy is not valid by forming another country in another land. All right. Here we go. All right, and they're all ruled by Edomites. That's the thing they have in common. The power that rules over all these nations, even if they might be Japhites or some mixture of Moab and Ammon, they're still ruled by the Edomites. All right, and then America sits on top of the beast. All right, and they all have a similar party system, at least a two or more party system. All right. There, and he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed. So this proves that the direction that they're pushing the people, the citizens of the world in, is satanic. It has to do with idolatry. All right. Because in the ancient Rome, they worshipped the Greco-Roman gods. All right. And their very act of them being in power is a transgression, because every act they commit is a transgression. Whether they go to war, destroying people that haven't attacked them, all right, or stealing land, putting other nations into slavery, falsifying the balances. All right. So it's the video I have here. Everything's centered around this video. So let's listen in.
He is still reeling from the consequences of some very violent protests which mostly engulfed the largest city here and the former capital of Almaty. Basically, their protests very quickly escalated into marauding, into even terrorist attacks. In fact, the government is talking about 6 waves of those, as it is right now in the middle of an anti-terror operation. As a result, some 4,000 people have been detained because the government's response has been quite heavy-handed as well, and there are dozens of dead, dozens of killed people on both sides as a result. Now, helping out the Kazakh authorities here is a more than 3,000 strong peacekeeping force, an international one operating under the umbrella of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, a military alliance that
So this is pretty much what the Horde does, right? This is what the European powers do. This is what America does. They have ally, which is Kazakh, is a former Soviet state, I believe. Uh, when the government needs help, they go in, just like America. When they have NATO, so when their allies need help, they go in. They send forces in. So Russia's doing the same thing with Kazakhstan. All right. See what America, the horror believes in the European powers, the beast. They believe they're the only ones that can do that. If their enemies like Russia or China do it, they got a problem with it. All right, it's hypocrisy. All right, that meaning they're acting like they're righteous, and when somebody else does the same thing they do, that proves that they're not really. Those acts that they did really weren't righteous, because they're calling what they're doing. Well, it's not right. We don't want you doing that. They say it in so many words. They're really subtle. Let's continue.
Includes fighting under the umbrella of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, a military alliance that includes Kazakhstan, Russia, and some 4 other post-Soviet nations. And well, this international peacekeeping presence, it caught the eye of the United States. Secretary of State Antony Blinken has singled out Russia and voiced following concerns about Russian troops present in Kazakhstan.
It would seem to me that the Kazakh authorities and government certainly have the capacity to deal appropriately.
But that's none of your business, and you don't know that. They don't. America doesn't have a total assessment of their forces and power and capability, or even willingness to do so. If they want to invite friends in, that's their right. That's why the scriptures say, "Whose pomp was more stout than his fellow." America believes they're the only ones that can go around acting as if they're a police or security agency. All right, America believes they're the only one that has that pure privilege. America's Babylon. All right, the horror. All right, let's continue.
Voiced following concerns about Russian troops present in Kazakhstan.
It would seem to me that the Kazakh authorities and government certainly have the capacity to deal appropriately with protests, to do so in a way that respects the rights of protesters while maintaining law and order. So it's not clear why they feel the need for any outside assistance. So we're trying to learn more about it. I think one lesson of recent history is that once Russians are in your house, it's sometimes very difficult to get them to leave.
Did y'all just hear that? He said, once Russians are in your house, it's difficult to get them to leave. How dare. See, this is an act. America being righteous and pious, it's all an act. Because they did the exact same thing. They came to the real West. They call Europe the West, right? Over here is the real West. That's really the East over there. All right. But they came to the West and subjugated the biblical Israelites that were in North, Central, and South America. All right. And these Edomite Europeans never left. So let's hear this act of. You remember, we thought that America was a peaceful, righteous Christian nation, but the Russians are doing the same exact thing that you did.
It's something is that once Russians are in your house, it's sometimes very difficult to get them to leave.
Russia has already denounced such claims. Spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, has said that such presence, such peacekeeping presence, be it Russia's or any other country that is part of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, basically it is legitimate, especially given that Kazakhstan requested the...
Right, they had their own league. They had their own organizations. Like that NATO, they have NATO. We have the different European Union powers with trade and all that and security. Russia has their own agreements with the Soviet states. All right, which they're mingled people. All right, they have their agreements. So again, America Babylon believes they're the only one that are allowed to have these agreements and not be have shit talked about them. They're moving. Their agreements are righteous and they're doing it because of existential threats, you know. So they believe whose pomp was more stout than his fellow. All right, whose pride was higher than his brothers. America's pride is very high, and relative to their brothers, their other European and Russian powers.
Basically, it is, or any other country that is part of the Collective Security Treaty Organization, basically it is legitimate, especially given that Kazakhstan requested the aid officially.
US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has, in a typically boorish manner, joked about the tragic events in Kazakhstan. If Antony Blinken loves history lessons so much, then let him keep in mind the following. When there are Americans in your house, it can be difficult to stay alive, let alone not be robbed or raped.
There you go. When there are Americans in your house, it is difficult to stay alive, let alone be robbed and raped. All right, and that's what the Edomites that came from different European countries did to our ancestors here in the New World. All right, and robbed and raped them and killed millions of us. All right, and they got some damn nerve to talk about what the fucking Russians are doing, whose pomp was more stout than his fellow. All right, and when they speak these words, they speak them because they're putting a spirit out there, like we're ready, we're prepared to do something. All right, if it gets out of hand in a way that they don't want.
Native Americans, Koreans, Vietnamese, Iraqis, Panamanians, Yugoslavs, Libyans, Syrians, and
Yugoslavia, Herzegovina, and Bosnia. They bombed. That, I believe, was one of the first joint NATO bombings of Herzegovina and Herzegovina, that area up there. They bombed them together under NATO. They made the fire come down. That's one of the miracles that they performed. All right, together. All right. You know, they did other demonic things too, but they dropped the the bombs on in Japan before that. But together, under the title, under the official name, of course back then they had the support too. When they first dropped the bombs, they had British support, but it was American effort. Let's go back a little bit. Hypocrisy is thy name. Where we at? Native Americans, which is the tribe of Gad and Reuben, Issachar. Yes, Issachar was here.
Americans, Koreans, Vietnamese, Iraqis, Panamanians, Yugoslavs, Libyans, Syrians, and many other unfortunate people can say a lot about this.
Well, the president of Kazakhstan, Tokayev, he has admitted effectively that the country's security forces will most likely be unable to contain this absolute security fallout, and that's why he reached out officially to his allies. In fact, the estimate that the president has given as to how many terrorists are in Kazakhstan right now, or at least how many were here about 2 days ago, his estimate was 20,000 people. Again, that's according to the president, but he has said that basically their response will be very hardline.
They were beating and killing policemen and young soldiers, putting fire at administrative buildings, looting private premises and shops, killing secular citizens, raping young women. In my basic view, no talks with the terrorists. We must kill them.
Well, we're still hearing reports of...
Right, so all this is happening, and Kazakh is not supposed to call their allies, the Russians. All right.
Of gunfire coming out of the city of Almaty as the anti-terrorist operation is still ongoing there. But at the same time, little by little, we're also getting reports that order is being restored there.
And it goes back about Gog and Magog being a guard unto certain nations. All right. Well, it named certain nations, but the former Soviet countries are being guarded by Gog and Magog. All right, it doesn't mention them by name because they've spread out and split and created several nations from one people, so it's going to be under different names. All right. See what it says. The U.S. really knows no shame. America has such a horrible record of invading countries and staying that it was ridiculous for Blinken to talk about it at the risk of getting the appropriate response. Damn, the Russian foreign minister spokeswoman really put the U.S. in their place. What she said was pure gold, pure truth. So, I mean, there you go. That's he had some damn nerve to make a statement like that. Once they get America has over 1,000 military bases in these countries, and what are Americans going to say? Well, they want us there. Okay, so Kazakhstan is the same way. All right, and you have former Soviet states, which they're still all pretty much all friends, to my knowledge. You know, they're all they have Russian embassies, and when the Third World War starts, they ain't gonna take sides with the West. All right? I can't see them taking sides with the West because Russia's the bear is right there. All right. So Habakkuk 2:5, yeah, also because he transgressed by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. So that's the number one attribute or act of the whore and the beast. Mainly the whore, that when they go out somewhere, they stay there, all right, which is their military bases and their doctrine. All right. Neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. 16 minutes. But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right. Yeah, so when America, Babylon, the whore, goes out to a nation, they tend not to leave either. All right. So they can't talk shit about Gog and Magog, the Russians, because they're doing the exact same thing. So this shows you that America, Babylon, they're not morals. Their morals are not according to the scriptures. Their morals are, well, the good things of the scriptures. And their morality rests in satanic idolatry. All right, they worship demons and they drink blood. All right, the elite of them. All right, so they're no one to talk because they're doing the same thing. They're actors as if they're righteous, which they're really not. All right. We got that. Esau still talking shit. Revelation 17:16. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore. All right, so you're going to have the European powers. They're going to turn against America, Babylon. All right. And they're going to use their technology, their missiles, their nuclear fire to completely destroy Babylon, America. All right, the great whore. All right. So whatever arsenals and capabilities they have that can totally dilapidate Babylon, they're going to use it in that day because that nuclear technology is controlled by the Lord. All right, the God of the Bible, Yahweh Shai, who the world calls Christ Jesus. He controls the weapons that's going to totally annihilate Babylon, America. All right. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. All right. So this is a future prophecy. All right. Meaning that how is fire going to be sent to the nations or sent to the whore, America, Babylon, by missiles? It's not. That's the only way it can be sent. By missile-guided warheads, which are nuclear or more powerful than nuclear, whatever they're going to send. All right. And shall make her desolate and burn her with fire. So this is not a prophecy that is taking place. Yeah. And it clearly tells you that the nations are going to do this, that were allied with the whore. All right. So it can't. What else could it be talking about? And if you were wondering, fire is a chemical reaction. All right, for you scientists out there. All right, for the power hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, to agree and to give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of the power be fulfilled. So they are under service. Well, it says give their kingdom to the beast. So that's what it says. All right. They're not equal partners. I mean, I've never seen from any amount of history that they're equal partners. It's always been, America has always been a dominant force over these nations. Sometimes they're in the business, sometimes they're not. But America's always been the highest contributor to the organization. All right, and the most powerful of the members of the system here. All right, so the fire is going to get to the whore via missile guided warheads. All right, that's how fire going to get there. It says the nations are going to do this, and who's going to be controlling these nations? The Lord Yahweh Shai. All right. So we're gonna go to. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. We brought that. Yeah. So back to my first point. Yeah, you take drugs and you still get sick. Reinforce that point. All right. You took the vampire shot and you boosted, and you still caught the bug. Here's what to do. All right, because when you take drugs, your immune system is a thing that heals you. Not no damn drug. All right. Your immune system, all right, which is ultimately controlled by Yahweh Shai, right? And he gave us the knowledge to navigate our bodies properly. So he gave us the knowledge of herbs, prayer, all right, and cleanliness. All right. Esau didn't invent washing your hands. That's our custom. All right. Esau didn't invent isolating yourself. That's our custom. All right. Did I do that video? I may have done that video. I forgot if I did a video about the plague of leprosy. You supposed to isolate yourself. Just touching on that. So yeah, Esau, you're not original. All right, that's within our laws. This is Psalms 26 and say we start from let me go to the point. 26 and 5. I have hated the congregation of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. All right. Both amongst Israel and among the Edomites. All right. We can't be dwell with people that are not following the commandments of Yahweh Shai, all right, as taught by the prophets. All right. Because the Lord gave his elect the formula of obedience. All right. How he wants to be worshipped. What's acceptable and what's not acceptable. What's going to be forgiven, what's not going to be forgiven. All right. He gave that program to his elect. All right. I have hated the congregation of evildoers and will not sit with the wicked. Now, here's an example, and I'll end it here, about, let me go back to 15. Saul's disobedience, man, and start giving you, Judah keeps getting thrown in there because Judah was going to be the head tribe And so throughout the book of Judges, it'll throw Judah in there. It'll number Judah, it just threw Judah in here out of nowhere, because it didn't number any of the rest of the host. It just singled out Judah, because Judah was going to be the head tribe. And so what Saul did was he kept Amalek alive, and he kept the certain animals alive, which it was given instruction to him to utterly destroy everything that the Amalekites had. It says, now go and smite Amalek and utterly. And this is why Esau is so angry with Judah and with Israel to this day. All right. And now go and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep and camel and ass. And Saul gathered. So he's supposed to kill everybody. So this is how much God, Christ Jesus, loves the heathen, the Edomites. It says, slay both man and woman, infant and suckling. So the Lord hates the nations. Infant and suckling, ox and sheep and camel. And so I guess all these people that Saul killed going to hell. Can you Christians write that on there, please? On the comment board. Are the people that Saul and Jonathan killed, and David, are they going to hell? But slay man and woman, infant, or the man and the woman and the infants, the babies that Saul and Jonathan killed, are they going to hell? All right. And Saul gathered the number of them to my two. All right. So he spared them, Amalek and certain animals that they would sacrifice and they were going to eat. All right. So we go down here to let's see. Here we go. Yes, 22 is what I wanted. 1 Samuel 15:22. And Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delighteth in burnt offerings and sacrifices, as in obeying the voice of Yahweh? So sacrifice or obedience? Which is greater? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity. Because thou hast rejected the word of Yahweh, he hath also rejected thee from being king. All right. So that's what obedience gets you. That's what disobedience gets you. All right. Disobedience gets you rejected. All right. So we're supposed to follow Yahweh Shai. All right. With all faithfulness. All right. Now here's my other point. Right here, that the fear of the prophets are going to return when the Lord gives us that power back. This is 1 Samuel 16:4. And Samuel did that which Yahweh spake, and came to Bethlehem, and the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, comest thou peaceably? Tremble. So when Samuel came, they were afraid. We got Karab. Harab. What's the word there? It's actually Harab. Let me see. That's the actual word there. This is the root. We got Waya Karabwa. Waya Karabwa. All right. Now, when you look these words up, sometimes the root word and the actual word there will be two totally different words. So when you read this, you have to be careful. All right. And sometimes they'll actually give you like what the root word means, and then it'll give you the context of the scripture or the context of the actual word there in the actual text. All right. So Esau, he's smart, but he ain't that damn smart. If he was smart, he would actually give you the what the word there means and not the root word, or give you both. All right. As a side note, when you look up these words, you might stumble sometimes. Like, wow, this word totally different. Well, because that's not the word that's actually there. All right. So you put one character in there, it'll change the meaning of the word completely. All right. Like obviously, like cat, hat, bat. Three totally different words, and one character changed. All right. So we're gonna get that fear back, and we're gonna get that through power. All right. It says, and the elders of the town trembled at his coming and said, "Comest thou peaceably?" And he said, "Peaceably." So they trembled. They were afraid. They were trembled, fear, anxiety. Their life flashed before their eyes. What they had, their substance. Like, oh shit, some evil's about to come. They didn't tremble because he thought the prophet came for good. All right. And he said, "Peaceably, I am come to sacrifice unto Yahweh. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice." And he sanctified Jesse and his sons and called them to the sacrifice. All right. So I'm gonna get Psalms 110. Psalms 110 and 1. Psalm of David. Yahweh said unto my Lord, or Yahweh said unto Yahweh Shai, "Sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. Yahweh shall send the rod of his strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies." All right. So again, the heathen are going. They're not making it to the kingdom of heaven as rulers. They're going to be in the kingdom as servants. All right. And they're going to be getting their back whipped. I mean, they're disobedient. And they're going to work all day. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. And the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning, thou hast to do with thy youth. That was the point, the third verse. We got willing, volunteeredness. If I'm not, nadaba. Volunteeredness. It doesn't show up in the dictionary, but you know what it means. Free will, voluntariness. Free will, voluntary offering. So when they see the power, when the Lord's elect receive power from on high, which the superpowers like the X-Men have, the X-Men are pretty much the greatest example of, let's say, in film and TV, whatever, of Israel receiving power, because it's not just one group that has these powers. It's a certain class of people that have the powers, not just a couple like 10 or 12 men and women that got powers. The X-Men, all the mutants have powers. All right. And some of them look like kind of like freaks or whatever too, but you know, for the main part, it's the mutants. They have powers that the Edomites find threatening. All right, and they set up different organizations to destroy them and capture them and put them in slavery. When you watch the animated series from the 90s, all right, and they exploit their powers in the animation. And all right, so we got Kayal, which means strength, wealth, force, army, efficiency, wealth. All right, I think we got exousia in the Greek, or dunamis. All right, dunamis in the Greek. All right, strength, ability. All right, power, influence. Belong to riches and wealth. Power, resources arising from numbers. Power consisting in or resting upon armies and forces. Strength, power, and ability. So when the Lord gives what worker of miracles, power, strength. There we go. So when the Lord gives us wonderful, mighty work, strength, violent, abundance, right here, miraculous power, dunamis. All right. So when the Lord's elect receive that power, that's when a lot of other Israelites are going to come into the faith when they actually see it. All right. And who's going to be elected first to receive their power, the ones that bore the heat of the day. All right, those are the ones that they got the rank. They got their relationship with Yahweh Shai. That's why we say get to this thing now, so you'll be looked at. All right. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. All right. So, hypocrisy went from you still getting sick even when you take drugs to the hypocrisy of the whore talking shit about the Russians and the Kazakh. All right. To the fear of the Lord coming back on the people, and them being willing to believe when they see miracles worked. All right. So hope this lesson was edifying. Shalom to the next lesson.